everybody, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. This is Bookmark by Aaliyah, and we're about to do my September wrap-up. I read 8 books this month, y'all. So this is 6, and then I read 2 on the Kindle. Let's get started. All right, so The Art of Scandal by Regina Black. This one has been on my radar for a while. Not too long ago, I got it. Did I get this from Amazon or the book outlet? I can't remember. But this one, okay, so first I'm going to say this. I thought getting into this book that I was going to get into like look at the cover. Like, look at the cover. And even the other cover that they have to this one, it looks like it's a steamy, like smutty, like, I don't know what I thought I was getting myself into, but it wasn't that. So this ended up being more of a women's fiction with a little bit of romance in it. It was cool, but like I didn't have to read it. Like, it was on my radar for so long, like I said, but I didn't have to read it. This follows, I'll just read the back of it. On the night of her husband Matt's 40th birthday, Rachel Abbott receives a sexy, explicit text from her husband, and she quickly realizes was meant for another woman. Divorce is inevitable, and Rachel is determined not to leave her 13-year marriage empty-handed. Meanwhile, Matt, a rising star mayor with his eyes on the White House, can't afford a messy split in the middle of his re-election campaign. They strike a deal. Rachel gets $1 million in their lavish house in the wealthy D.C. suburb of Oasis Springs as long as she keeps playing the ideal black trophy wife until the election. So that gives you an idea of what it's about, and that's exactly what the book was, but it just didn't do it for me. Like, she ends up kind of connecting with another guy because obviously the husband's cheating, but they're trying to put up this facade, you know, just on the exterior look like they're the model couple because he's trying to win an election. Me personally, I'd have been like, forget you and your election, you cheated on me, you know, whatever. But this just didn't do it for me. So if you're going into this thinking that you're getting a romance, it's not gonna happen. There's no relationship. Like, it's all over the place. Like, it just missed the mark for me. Like, I will put the ratings and everything up there because I really can't remember a lot of these ratings, but this just kind of missed the mark for me. Next, I have another book I have been putting off for so long, 7 Year Slip. This one, or was it last year or early this year? I don't know. This was all over TikTok, all over YouTube. Everybody had to read it. So I didn't read the what was her other book, The Dead Romantics, I believe is the name of that book. I never read that book, and I knew she, you know, wrote magical realism, the paranormal, like, kind of love story, and I had never read anything like that until I read A Love Song for Ricky Wilde. Read that, loved that. Never, like I said, never had any kind of anything extra, just either romance, thriller, fiction. Like, that's all I ever read. Nothing was a little razzle dazzle in it, but I read that and loved it. So I was like, okay, now that I've read that and I see what magical realism is, I'm gonna go ahead and dip my toe in this one finally, because I bought this I think a year ago. I was on a hunt. I remember in another video I was on a hunt to find this book, and it just sat on my shelf. Like, I never read it. The hype was overhyped to me. If you love this book, you love this book. You know me, I'm reading it subjective. I'm 100% a believer of that. But it just, I don't know. Like, it was cute. I'm not going to tell you not to read it, but it was like, I don't want to compare the books, but all I have is A Love Song for Ricky Wilde to compare a magical realism to. So I kind of got to compare to give you my real opinion on it. So I feel like in this one, if you've read A Love Song for Ricky Wilde, you know how that one goes. This one, I felt like there was no, like, underlying reason for the magical realism, if that makes sense. Like, it literally was just magic. Like, where I feel like, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. But a cute story, but it definitely was overhyped for me. I see how people could DNF it if they didn't like it, because it takes a minute to even get into the little bit you're getting into. I will say, I wanted this. I loved him. I loved him as a main male character, but it was a very cute story, but it just didn't give me what I thought it was going to give me. So this one is just, it was very mid for me. That's it. That's all I got to say about that one. Then I have The Air He Breathes by Brittany Cherry. I've read a few by her. The Coldest Winter. I've read the mixtape. And so, of course, I'm kind of getting all her books because I kind of want to see, you know, what they're about. So, and I really do love her writing. She writes beautifully. She writes grief like no other. Like, but I don't think this story was a good time for me to read it because it kind of put me in a little bit of a slump. It kind of made me sad. Like I've said about any other book that I've talked about with grief, if you've gone through any kind of grief, if you've lost anybody, like these are these kind of books that take you back to that place. And I don't think I read this at the right time because I was kind of already in my feelings a little bit, and then I wanted to pick this up, but I didn't know it was going to be so grief heavy. But this was beautiful. I did love this book. I loved it, loved it, loved it. It put me in a slump for a good chunk of this month, but I love this book. This follows Tristan, and I can't even remember the female main character's name, but it's easy to judge a man because of his past, to look at Tristan and see a monster, but I couldn't do that. I had to accept the wreckage that lived inside of him because it also lived inside of me. We were both empty. We were both looking for something else, something more. We wanted to put together the shattered pieces of our yesterdays. Then perhaps we can finally remember how to breathe. It was a beautiful story. The main male character and the female main character both suffered loss. I don't want to give too many details because sometimes I can't remember like where details of the story came in if you're going to get it from the first 2 pages, and I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. So they both have experienced grief, and then they come together to kind of manage their grief together, which I feel like a lot of Brittany Cherry books were like that. You know, a lot of, honestly, both books that I've read by her are like that. So she writes grief like no other. So I'm not sure if the rest of the book, I think this is called the Element series. I'm not sure if like all the books in this series are dealing with grief, but I'm gonna definitely make sure I look into that before I pick up another one, make sure I'm in the right headspace to read it. But it was a very beautiful story. I love it was a little girl. Was it a little girl? I think it's a little girl. I love the kid in this story. It was a very beautiful story, but like I said, it may put you like in a space you don't want to be in. So just proceed with caution. The very end of August, I started Saint Ave by Sheree Lewis. And so I just counted it in my September wrap up because I think I read it the very last day of August. So this is one for my urban fiction girlies because I don't read a lot of urban fiction. No diss or nothing, but I just don't read a lot of urban fiction just because maybe I just don't see enough recommendations. I don't know, but I'm starting to. So I kind of want to, some of them are cool and some of them I'm just like, you know, it's just not always my cup of tea. But this one was different. It was a different read for me. I got to say this is this thick, but the writing is so ridiculous here. So honestly, I read the majority of it on my Kindle. If you can see, like, look how spaced out it is. Look at all this indentation right here. But I got through it pretty quick on the Kindle. So, but it is a thick one, but you can get through it really, really fast. This one follows basically the female main character gets a divorce. Her husband leaves her pennies, leaves her nothing. So she's like in a rock and a hard place. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know where to, how ends are going to meet. And she runs into a lady and she gets an opportunity to work as a live-in nanny for an unknown person. She doesn't know who the person is until she gets there. And she's got to take care of a set of twins. So she gets there, and I guess it's this kind of like ex-rapper. Like, he's older, so he was like a rapper back in the day, but he still has his legacy. But he was like known for being like a bad boy. He has this image, and she was like, oh, absolutely not. I'm not about to take care of your kids. But she ends up doing it. So you already kind of see where this is going to go. And then they form a relationship. So it's literally just her forming a relationship with this ex-rapper. He's got a ton of money. He's got a career. He's got these kids. But, like, where's the baby mama, wife, you know, whatever. So it's just like a whole lot of drama. But it's suspenseful. It is a romance. Again, I can't even remember what I rated this. It wasn't like crazy high or anything. I did enjoy it, but I can't say that I want to just keep picking up books by this author. But this one, it was really good. So if you just kind of want to see if urban fiction is your jam or if it's not your jam, I think this will be a good one to start with. Don't let this size intimidate you because it really is not that long. I think I got through it in like 2 or 3 days or something like that. Like no longer than my average reading. So if you want to check it out, Saint Ave by Sheree Lewis. Then I have, y'all, The Nightingale, Kristen Hanna. So back in the day, like when I first started reading, I don't know if y'all know because I've never really like talked about my like history with reading. So I used to read a lot as a kid. Thought I was, too cool for school, so I stopped reading and all that. So got through college, did all of that, and like early 20s, I started reading again. So when I would start to read, I would read more historical fiction. That was like everything I read. I read like the Daniel Black books. I read like Zane and stuff too, but like I read like Eric Jerome Dickey, all those type of authors back like in the what was that, like late 90s, early 2000s. Like I read all of that stuff that was popular then. But anytime I really like loved a book, it was always like historical fiction, but it was mainly set like during slavery and things like that. So I did used to love historical fiction, but it was literally only like Black historical fiction. I never really like dipped my toe in anything else. So I've heard a lot about this book, and I'm like, it was just calling me. I was like, I really want to try it. I really want to try it. So I remember in a previous video, I was like book shopping or something, I saw, and I was like, oh no, this is like 590 some pages. I don't feel like making that commitment to such a thick book. And that's not like spacing like that St. Ave was. This is like real deal, like words on a page, like a lot of them. So I finally built up the courage to go ahead and read it. People said it was good. I've never heard anybody say anything bad about this book. Co-workers were telling me to go ahead and read it. People who love historical fiction told me to read, and I was just like, I don't know, I'm gonna just buy it and we're gonna see. I might be a historical fiction girly because I've already bought 2 more of her books, 3 more of her books, and I'm gonna go over a book haul. I'm gonna do a book haul probably for my next video and show you guys the books I've been buying. But anyway, so this one follows. This is The Nightingale, Kristin Hannah. It follows 2 sisters during World War II. I can never say that together. It's like a tongue twister for me. But follows them during the war. It goes over the Nazis taking over. It goes over like what was done to the Jews. Like and listening to me even say that to you sounds boring, right? It wasn't. It is just, I was asleep in social studies, okay? History classes, I was asleep. That wasn't my, that wasn't a class that I was like, ooh, so I know things about like the war, and obviously, clearly I know stuff about it, but like it's not, I've never seen it or heard it detailed the way it is in this book. And just to follow these 2 sisters and their separate stories, because they were totally different in every way possible. The love stories that they have in this, the war stories they have in this. I don't even know how to explain this, but if you've read this, you feel me. Like, you know what I mean. This book has my heart. It has my heart. I think I rated this book 4 or 4.25 or something. I don't know what I rated it, but like a week later, I had to go back on Goodreads and rate it a 5 because I was like, I'm still thinking about this book. When I say the writing in this, you're watching it. You're not even reading it anymore. Like the words are just, you're just flying through it because you're literally like a fly on the wall. You are literally seeing this. I'm smelling the things she's cooking. I'm seeing how skinny they've gotten. It is, read this book. That's all I can tell you. Read this book. Like it is so good to the point, like I told you, I bought more of her books because I want them ready to go when I'm in that, when I have that feeling, you know what I mean? When I really want to get in that historical fiction, I want her books on deck. So I got them. So Nightingale, Kristin Hannah. Then the last book of the month, I finally read it. Curvy Girl Summer by Danielle Allen. I read Continuum by her. I think that was just like a little novella. I've read Broken Clocks by her. Love that one. And this one, I feel like I missed the mark because I'm like, well, dang, it's fall now. Like, can I really read a summer book in the fall? But I was going on vacation. So I just got back from Mexico, and I read this while I was on vacation. Perfect vacation read, y'all. Perfect. The banter in this, hilarious. It was just like, the female main character, Aaliyah, her name's Aaliyah, and Ahmad, they were cute. They were really cute. Like, she was just so sassy. He would clown her, she'd clown him right back. Like, I loved it. I loved the banter. I loved the 2 friends in Aaliyah's 2 best friends. And this Nina was hilarious in this. This is just basically following a girl. She's 29. She's about to be 30. She's having this big shindig for her 30th birthday party, and her family's like not pressuring her. Well, her uncle was, but like kind of pressuring her, like, get it together. You don't have a man. You're a big girl. Like, what are you doing? And it was a lot of family drama, like surrounding her sister. Like, you get to find out all these things when you read it, so I'm not gonna spoil it for you. But it was kind of like not a coming of age, but like her kind of growth, her finding herself, finding what she wants. She's just doing all this dating with all these guys, and it was a lot of like, just, it's not a trigger warning, I guess, but like it was a lot of fat shaming in here that I really wasn't feeling. But I guess to like make the story, you had to do that, because that is what happens. You know, with bigger girls, you do have the fat shaming. Look at Lizzo. Look at, you know what I mean? Like, you get that. So I guess she had to put it in there, but it did kind of, it made me uncomfortable kind of reading it sometimes. But it was a very good book, and I really did love it. It was spicy, perfect for vacation. It was spicy. It was, the banter was there. It was a really, really good read, and I'm glad that I was able to read it before it like really became fall in a summer setting. Like, it was very, very cute. Okay, y'all, and then those are the physical books I read. Then I read two books on my Kindle. I have two thrillers that I read. I read Ward D, Frida McFadden. That one follows a medical school student doing her residency on a psych ward. So she has to do a 12-hour midnight shift on a psych ward. So it's a dual timeline. So it flips between, I think, maybe 8 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. I think it flips between 8 years ago and then the present time. And the present time takes place on her entire 12-hour shift. And in the past chapters, it kind of leads you up as to like a lot of her feelings that she's having while doing her shift in the hospital on this you know, locked unit. So it was, I don't know, it was up there with The Housemaid is Watching for me. It was not one of my Frida McFadden, you know, favorites. I don't know if it was because like I'm starting to like branch out with different authors, that Frida McFadden is like, she used to be my like go-to for a thriller. Like, oh, she keeps me, you know, invested in it. She keeps me turning. Oh, I love the short chapters. I just, oh my God, they're so thrilling. But I think after I've read so many of her books and I'm starting to read other books, I'm realizing like these are more palate cleansers as opposed to I want to dive into a really good thriller. I guess that's why they call them popcorn thrillers. So that wasn't, like I said, it wasn't one of my favorites, but read it if you want to. But, you know, I would say pass up on it, but I don't know. It wasn't one of my favorites by her. And then, what was the other one I read? I read, The Couple Next Door by Shari Lapena. I think that's how I say her name. But that one, that's a thriller. So my friend was reading it. And she's like, sis, you got to read it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to read it. So I downloaded it on the Kindle. That one was so, so good. It had every ingredient that I personally look for in a thriller. It had a lot of people where everybody looks suspicious. It had all kind of motives. Everybody has a motive. It was all over the place. So basically, a couple has a newborn. Well, I don't think it's newborn. I think she was like 6 months or something. But has a baby. They have a dinner party next door. So they're like, oh, we'll just keep the baby in her crib. She's sleeping anyway. And we'll bring the baby monitor with us. And we'll go next door and have a dinner party and drink a lot of wine and get drunk. Bad parenting. But makes for a great story. So they come back home. Baby's missing. What happened to the baby? That's the plot. That's all you need to know. All you need to know is that you need to go read that book because it was very good, and I'm very interested in reading more about Shari Lapena. I hear some of her other books aren't like that, but I don't know. You know how like when you first read an author for the first time and you love that book, you like, yes, but maybe you just got lucky, but maybe the other books aren't so great. I don't know. We're going to find out this fall and this winter because I plan on getting a few more books by her. So, that's it, y'all. These are all the books plus the 2 Kindle ones I told you about that I read in September, and it's now a new month, and I cannot wait to see what I'm going to be reading. Where is it? I don't know what I do with my book. Oh, so I just started The Davenports, so I think I'm going to continue with it. So we'll see. I always read like 2 or 3 chapters before I say, oh, I'm reading this book. You know what I mean? So I'm still like in the beginning chapters already. Bridgerton vibes. If you love Bridgerton, I think you're going to love this book. It's too early for me to tell you right now because I don't even know if I'm going to continue to read this book. But right now, everything about it is Bridgerton. And I love Bridgerton. I love Queen Charlotte. So this is putting me in that vibe, making me feel like I already kind of see it playing out. So the description, the writing is really good right now. So I'll keep you posted, or check me out on Goodreads to see if I really continue reading this book. And I'll check y'all on the next video. Stay tuned for my book haul that I've gotten recently. And I'll see y'all then. Thanks for watching.